Welcome to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, the big butch manly movie podcast that lies down with dogs and wakes up with a prescription. I'm Andrew Wheeler.
And I'm Shane Hollon.
October means horror movies at Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and we like to pick our horror movies based on a unique connection. All of these movies that we'll be talking about this month star or feature a Bond woman. That is an actress who was a featured performer in one of the many Bond films. So that might be Grace Jones in Vamp, Akiko Wakabayashi in Ghidorah, or the one good thing about Spectre, Miss Monica Bellucci in this week's movie. So today we are talking about 2001 French period action horror film Brotherhood of the Wolf, directed by Christophe Gans, co-written by Gans and Stéphane Cabel, and starring Samuel Le Bien, Marc Dacascos, Émilie Deguin, Monica Bellucci, and Vincent Cassel, loosely inspired by the real-life legend of the Beast of Gévaudan. The movie's unusual blend of horror, period glamour, martial arts, and swashbuckling action made it one of the most successful French-language films of all time.
Yeah, if you throw 1,000 genres at something, something's going to stick.
People are going to show up and be like, what? So the storyline sees it's set in 18th century France and follows the Chevalier de Fronsac and many of the Iroquois tribe as they investigate the mysterious slaughter of hundreds by an unknown creature in the county of Gévaudan.
Gévaudan. Wow, what a film. It was a lot.
It's long.
It's 2.5 hours long.
I'm so sorry.
I enjoyed this, but I feel like I could have found a way to cut maybe 45 minutes from it and kept it cohesive.
I agree. Yeah, the length is the biggest. I don't know. I feel like the 2000s, we really thought movies can just be however long. You know, we just were deluded about it.
The 2000s, the 2010s, currently, movies are just too long.
Movies are too long. And yeah, this could easily have been an under 2 hours movie and would be such a treat at that length because it really drags. It's a little slow to start up, I feel like, and it's very slow to wind
down.
And
a little slow to end. Yeah, and a little slow in the middle.
But I'd seen this movie before, and it was a cult classic in the 2000s. So I knew it from being online, very online in the 2000s. And all the straight boys I knew were in love with Monica Bellucci. So that was basically an action movie about a werewolf that features martial arts and Monica Bellucci's boobs. Was like, great. Every straight boy I know was dying to see this movie. And I thought, well, you also get Marc Dacascos' boobs, so I guess I'll watch it too.
A lot of male flesh in this movie. Never the flesh that you want. Yes, I did appreciate the amount of Marc Dacascos that we saw from beginning to end.
Yeah. And what an end. Yeah, it's a beautifully shot movie. Some really great action sequences, very modern in its approach to period horror.
Mm-hmm.
And quite a satisfying experience. And I think that's why it attained this sort of cult-like status. But you say you'd literally never heard of it at all.
Nope, was not on my radar. I think it enjoyed a very limited release here, although it's one of those things where I'm surprised that I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
It came out like just a couple years after The Matrix, and I feel like a lot of this movie owes its identity to that in a strange way, but like the way that martial arts is featured so prominently and like the action set pieces and the kind of twisty plot all feel of that era, the like late 90s, extended 90s era of filmmaking. However, there was so much of this where I thought, well, this movie could have been made 10 years ago and would fit perfectly in that kind of movie making sense as well. Yeah, it did so many things right. Not least of all, I think that our leads were fantastic in this. Samuel, Mark, Monica, and Vincent. They all like gave us really stellar performances. Oh, and Emily as Marianne. I thought she was great as well. And I really like that the women, I mean, sure, you're either a hooker or a wife, but I felt like they contributed to the plot in meaningful
Yes.
ways as well, even though there were really only 2 women in this movie.
If you count the sort of feral woman
Right.
who
Who,
we'll
gotta be
talk about.
honest, I stopped paying a little bit of attention towards the end of the movie because I just couldn't anymore. And I looked up and I was like, what happened to Monica Bellucci's character? They look so similar that I got really confused
You
when
thought she'd been
Monica
dragged through
Bellucci
a hedge.
killed Monica Bellucci. Yeah.
Yeah, they're quite different characters, it has to be said.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other connection I think we should address about this movie to our lives is that we recently saw some real wolves, and they were
Yes.
so lovely and beautiful. Toronto Zoo has a pack of Arctic wolves, and they were just so sweet and nice, and they look like good boys and girls, every single one of
Good
them.
pups.
And
Real
wolves
good
have a
pups.
bad rep that they do not deserve. And the wolves in this film were played by Belgian shepherds, apparently, so there were no wolves actually used in the filming. And I don't know what type of wolves were around in Europe back then, because obviously there are none anymore, sadly.
Oops.
Oops.
Yeah. I loved seeing the wolves at the Toronto Zoo in real life. They exhibited pack behavior, which was very exciting. We got to watch them
Yes.
play and run around from one length of their enclosure to the other. And we saw them lounging and relaxing and preening each other. It was very sweet. And wolves in this film are not. Decidedly not, except for one who kind of perpetuates a racist trope.
Racist wolf.
No, just perpetuating, like, all Native Americans can speak with animals.
Oh, yeah. There's a bit of that.
Yeah. Oh God, we'll get into more of that too.
At no point that I can recall did the alpha wolf go online and complain about Captain Marvel. So I don't know if that's real behavior that wolves exhibit. Maybe not. Maybe that's
It's hard to
just
tell.
an
I
online
mean,
thing.
and usually you wouldn't include your face in that kind of a profile, so it's hard to know if it's just a wolf in there. Should we talk about the women of this film? We kind of already started, but let's dive deep into them.
Absolutely. Let's celebrate the women of this film.
Yay! And what a celebration. Monica Bellucci, at the tender age of 36, is so stunningly beautiful, and she gets these amazing outfits, maybe some of the most amazing outfits that had ever been worn in France at that time. And she has so much power in her courtesan role. The way that she sleeps with all of the powerful men is aspirational.
Goals.
Absolute goals.
Yeah, it's so nice to see. I mean, I feel like I don't see enough Monica Bellucci. In this film, you definitely see a lot of Monica Bellucci.
A lot of her.
A very famous shot where she's lying naked in her brothel bed, and it transitions into the snow-covered landscape of medieval France. And it's like,
that might have
okay,
been
yeah,
my favorite part of the film, actually. I did laugh.
It's a gorgeous shot, and it's so over the top. Yeah.
Literally, it goes over her top.
And she's not wearing a top, so
right.
Yeah, I feel like Monica Bellucci never quite got the roles that she deserved. I feel like we never saw as much of her. The Matrix really, it did great for her, but at the same time was like an impenetrable role that made her seem more aloof and mysterious than she wanted to be. Then again, maybe she is just really weird. I mean, she was dating Tim Burton until recently. So
wait, what?
Yeah, they just broke.
Whoa.
So shocking that I dropped my microphone.
I mean, that is absolutely shocking to me. Isn't he with Helena Bonham Carter?
Not for a while.
Well, I guess I just don't keep up with these things anymore. I canceled my subscription to People. I also need to talk about Emily Dequenne, Marianne, another powerful female role. She almost gets added to this ongoing list that you and I have of women who die to advance the plot. We call it the Vesper list in honor of Vesper Lind from Casino Royale. She unfortunately is the victim of incestuous SA, which was so disturbing and felt really unnecessary to include 2 hours into the film. Like, we get it. her brother's a bad guy. Did he also need to like be a rapist?
Right.
I personally don't think so. However, I thought that Marianne brought like there was so much life in this character, and she wasn't just a damsel. She got to go out there and like hunt with the men, and she was ready to kill some wolves if it weren't for Samuel, whatever his character name is. Fronsac. There we go.
Fronsac.
Fronsac. And R.I.P. to this woman who passed away this year.
Yeah, I saw that in your notes, but I didn't realize that she just passed away recently. That's shocking.
Yeah, just a terminal illness, unfortunately.
Oh, terrible.
She was so young, only like 43, which means that she was only 19 in this film.
Wow. Yeah, Emily Dequesne.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's very sad.
But, I mean, what a film to remember her by. I mean, for me to be introduced to her by,
Yes.
and I really thought she was utterly fantastic, so watchable, and a real powerhouse performance.
Yeah, it is, as you say, it's a movie where the two lead women do have things to do. They do get to be active. They do get to drive the plot. They do get to have their own agency. And it's like,
Hmm.
oh, you can do all of these things in
The
2000
bar
and
is low.
2001.
Let's remember that the bar is low
Like,
for women
wow.
in
And also, like, you know, the fact that a lot of the women in this movie are sex workers, but they're not shamed for that or robbed of their power
Mhm,
because of that. And in fact, they get to wear the most fabulous outfits. There's
mhm.
one courtesan dressed all in peach, and her bum is the peach emoji before the
Yes,
peach emoji. You know, she invented it. It's beautiful.
absolutely.
And also there is a third woman of note. I don't remember that she has any lines at all, but Virginie Damon plays I call her the femme feral,
Yes.
the woman in the Brotherhood who is just an absolute menace
And is not Monica Bellucci.
and is not Monica Bellucci dragged through a hedge. And we get a ladies tag team in the
Uh,
circle fight.
One of my favorite parts of this film was the circle fight, and when those two
Great
women came
fun.
out, they must be Irish because an Irish jig started playing when they started to fight,
Right.
and they unfortunately both get kicked in the chest and in the groin, which definitely feels like it harkens back to an era of filmmaking that we don't really do anymore.
Yes.
But boy, did they put up a fabulous fight. Lots of spin kicks and thrusting of body parts and shoving and thwacking. That whole fight scene with Manny was incredible.
Yeah. And at some point everyone had Wolverine claws. They just all were like, you know what? I'm gonna have Wolverine claws.
No, I'm gonna have Wolverine claws. We're all going to have Wolverine claws.
Someone was at the forge all night just clanging out Wolverine claws for the whole posse, you know? It's great.
I mean, how historically accurate were those weapons?
I would say that's not attested in the record necessarily.
Interesting,
We can't
interesting.
prove that they didn't have them. I I will say there is a bit of misogyny in this movie because we do get to see a lot of women brutally murdered, and we get to see a lot of
Oof.
like bodies that are sexualized, ravaged corpses. You know, a woman
Mhm.
is lying dead, but also her boobs are out, and it's like that's not great. You know, it's a horror movie. There are tropes of horror that we acknowledge, that we endure, that
Yeah.
we could evolve beyond, but like you kind of just acknowledge that they're of the genre, and if we don't want them to be around anymore, great, let's move forward. But at the same time, it's like, well, exploitation is part of like sexualization of women without the sexualization, the commensurate sexualization of men is kind of a big part of a lot of horror. And I say,
Yeah.
stop doing that to women, do more of it to the men. That would be a perfect
Agreed.
solution to that problem.
Oh yeah, absolutely perfect. No notes. Yeah, yeah, I found the brutal treatment of women in this film pretty heinous.
Yeah.
And also, you call it a horror movie, but it's like the most slow burn horror And I feel like it's much more action period drama than horror film. But again, this is the problem with it trying to be too many things at once.
Yes.
But it didn't really feel like a horror movie to me. And I've seen a lot of horror films in my
Yeah.
day. And so to kind of shoehorn that the treatment of women in horror movies into what is essentially an action piece felt a
Right.
little icky.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't see a lot of like men scrabbling around in a muddy pit being stalked by a werewolf.
No.
You know, a little bit of equality in the murder victims. Please.
We're remaking this film with just nude men everywhere.
And the other thing I will say about women is that we had a trope that drives me nuts. Only the good woman can kill the bad woman. The scene with the two Monica Bellucci's fighting to the death. And it was like, did it have to be like this?
Really
It's very
confused
tropey.
me. I was so lost.
I love the idea that
I
you think that this beautiful courtesan was going out and rubbing mud in her hair.
Yeah,
I mean, she was a spy, would have been a brilliant cover, but
that is just a small part of where my confusion came in. I just saw a beautiful woman with dark features, and then she appeared again later in the film, and I was like, oh, she cleans up nice. And then she goes back to whatever she was doing before, and this is her father, but she's also working in the whore. We don't call them that anymore. In the brothel.
whorehouse, parentheses, approving.
Yeah, exactly, yes. Yeah, I was very confused, to say the least. It really wasn't until we started talking about it today that I figured it out, and I am not too ashamed to admit that.
It's a long movie. We all make mistakes.
Do I save it for the fashion part? No, I kind of just want to call it out now. Monica Bellucci's fan with razor blades in it is
yes,
classic, untouchable weapon I would have if weapons were
if you were a courtesan assassin
socially
spy.
acceptable. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece. All right, let's
Speaking
talk
of
about
beautiful,
boys.
beautiful pieces, let's talk about some
Very
boys.
good.
French
Love that
boys.
segue.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not all French boys. One Iroquois boy, but not actually.
But not actually.
So yeah, our leads arrive in muddy hats, muddy capes, in a sort of like they arrive to save a villager, and you know instantly you're going to have something to look at. Like both of these men have presence, and when they take off their muddy hats and come into the chateau, they're both like men with swagger. Mark Dacascos, like he's a little bug-eyed and stoic, and you know that's the role he's playing. Samuel Le Bihan has really terrible bangs, but they're both handsome men with presence, I would say.
They both rise above their wigs. I will say that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Samuel Le Bihan, he's definitely a leading man of a different age where you could be like thick but not rippling, where you could be smooth but not soft. He had like this, he just had this thick neck that like made me want to hang off it. You know what I mean?
The French still love a man that looks like a turnip farmer, is my feeling, you know?
Yeah, me too, apparently.
Approving.
He's very dashing. He was easy to watch for this entire film.
Yeah.
And I got why like all of the courtesans wanted to sleep with him. Like he's missing his shirt for a portion of the film, and I really enjoyed that. And he's just all around, like, he's athletic and skillful, and he's a really great actor. I was watching an English dub of this film. I couldn't find, or I didn't bother to find, the French language with the subtitles. The English acting was good.
Okay.
But his performance, like, shone through the dubbing. I will say that.
And then we have Mark Dacascos as Manny, the Iroquois, I guess, guide, nature lover. Brother. Yes, brother. Yeah, a character who's sort of treated with a degree of veritas, like people, you know, he deals with racism, but he also gets respect, and it does go into like woo-woo territory at a certain point. Like, oh, well, you know, these people are mystic and connected to nature in ways that we are not.
Look,
and
he's
like,
got this medicine that's no one has ever heard of, and that magically brings people back to life. What?
Pretty cool.
What happened to that magic? We could use that.
We got to track down some Iroquois. If only they still existed and not just as
What
a
happened to
fairy
them?
tale
Yeah.
idea in movies, you know?
Yeah.
No, they totally exist. In fact, I can go and buy some medicine from an Iroquois store down the road. It's weed. It's weed.
It's medicine. Some people's medicine.
The stuff in the store down the road is weed. I don't know what Mark Dacascos is selling here, you know.
It's just tobacco. Here, breathe in this tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would give you a sort of slight high.
Yeah. Of course, I think people will know Mark Dacascos as the chairman from Iron Chef.
Yes.
I was immediately like, he's an actor, like not just, I mean, obviously I knew he was an actor on Iron Chef, but I didn't think he was actually the chairman of some like secret foundation of chefs around the world.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah, I wasn't that confused, but I was surprised to like learn that he was an actor in other things.
Right. Yeah. He's fairly well respected, like as a martial artist, an actor,
and how?
and yeah, and of course he has been a model and all of these things because he is a very striking man, and he does get to be striking in this movie. He's wearing a loincloth for most of it. His, spoiler alert, final scene of the movie sees him bearing a lot of thigh, a lot of like, you know, you really get to see everything the loincloth doesn't hide in that sequence. And it's such a shame.
He does do a tuck and roll, and I did pause to see like how much of a tuck we got in that roll. But unfortunately, it is a fully covering loincloth.
Shame. And we do get to see him at the brothel, you know, most of the girls being like, I don't want to go near him. He's strange, you know, he's
got a writhing snake on his body, and they're talking about his tattoos, but then he reveals his writhing snake, if you know what I mean.
Yes. And one of the girls is like,
lucky girl's like, ooh, I'll take that one.
This.
Yeah. I'll take one for the team.
And we're all thinking, you go, girl.
Yeah.
I see you, girl. Because yeah, beautiful man, lots of tattoos, and
horrible
apparently
wig.
just a huge schlong.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Oh, I said horrible wig.
Horrible wig.
Horrible wig. Oh, and those golden brown eyes, which are also green, which are also gray. He's got those eyes that like just change color depending on which direction he's looking, and I absolutely love that.
Shout out to...
Sorry, before we move on, gotta say, Mark Dacascos is playing an Iroquois man, and he is not. He is of Hawaiian, Filipino, Japanese, and Irish descent, I believe I read. So he's like a wonderful mix of many peoples. I feel akin to that. But he is absolutely not what he is portraying in this film.
Yes.
And that like realization for me, that put this film squarely in 2001.
Yeah. Yes, thankfully there are many more actors, I think, today that could have been cast more accurately in this role. You know, obviously Mark Dacascos, if he could only play characters that shared his ethnicity, he couldn't play any characters because he is, as you say, you know, he is a lot of things. But yes, this is not being a Pacific Islander is not being an indigenous North American. Like those two are pretty distinct from each other. And I think there are a lot of actors like Martin Sensemer, I think would be far too young to have played this role, but would be great in this role if they were to do a remake or something. Not that they're going to, but you know, there are many more actors now. There was an actor in the Long Walk, the film that just came out, who also looked like he could play the part brilliantly. DeFerro Wuntai, a very beautiful actor that was in Reservation Dogs.
And also one of the recent Predator films is that one that's set in like early, like I want to say the early in North America. Yeah. That there are so many actors in that film who easily could have taken this role today. But again, we're looking at this from a lens 15 years in the future from when this film was made.
Yes.
And I think, as you said, the role was treated with more respect than I expected going into this film.
Yeah. Yes. Obviously, you know, the fault is Hollywood's that they weren't pursuing indigenous actors, Native American actors at this time. It's not on Mark Dacascos. No. So there is an actor in this, Jeremy Renier, and I want to be very clear that he is Jeremy Renier and not Jeremy Renner.
Not Jeremy Renner.
Very different.
When I saw the cast list, I was like, Jeremy Renner's in this? How old was he?
But with an accent.
But with an accent, and very blonde, and a child.
Yeah, he's like 21 in this. Jeremy, very blonde, very pretty. I thought very Daniel Craig coded. Like he reminded me of a young Daniel Craig. And if you look at him now, he kind of looks like
He kind of looks like
now
a Daniel Craig.
Craig.
Yeah.
And there were points in the movie where I thought he was going to die. And then I had to remind myself, no, he's the narrator.
He's narrating.
He's going to be
Same.
okay.
Well, so.
Well, yeah. Yes, ultimately, no.
French Revolution happened.
He gets away with it, though. So, that's something.
Yeah.
Apparently, Gaspard Ulliel is in this film, but I didn't actually spot him.
Yeah, he plays Louis XV, apparently. And I also read this and kept looking and looking and looking. And the Boy King never appeared, gotta say.
Never appeared.
Maybe in a very specific cut?
Maybe. Yeah, there have been multiple cuts of this movie. So we may have seen slightly different versions, even.
I saw one that was 2 hours and 30 minutes long. That's what, 270 minutes? That can't be right. 150 minutes. It felt like 270 minutes. 4.5 hours. Yeah.
But yeah, Gaspard Ulliel, just another great French actor that we lost too young. And I would love to have seen him in this. So I was a bit sad about that. And final man of the movie, Vincent Cassel. Ce n'est pas pour moi, mais pour toi.
He was for me. I will say that. He's not for me now. Watching this movie, I was like, oh, he's a little bit reedy and weedy. But I remember watching him in The Messenger, like way back. That movie came out in 96, and I probably saw it in 1999. And I was like, ooh, handsome man, handsome French man. But now looking back, I think I've grown out of the Vincent Cassel style.
That's fair. He is a specific type for sure.
He's very beautiful. Don't want to. All respect to this man. He's like he's gorgeous, but
he's doing fine.
He's doing fine.
Was he with Monica Bellucci at the time? I think maybe.
Well, I think maybe you're right.
So
in which case, hot couple.
Doing fine.
Doing fine. Yeah.
Should mention, by the way, his character is villain with a disability. Like that's another trope that is being trotted out once again.
Yeah. And I mean, does he really have a disability in the end? Turns out,
well,
he's just got like a scarred arm that he refuses to cut the nails on.
A little E45 cream and a manicure, and he would have been golden.
Absolutely. What an elaborate piece that he had to get himself into every day to hide the scars on his arm. Interesting. Yeah. Who is helping him with this? Oh, I guess the Brotherhood of the Wolf. Answered my own question. Sorry about that. Let's talk about the music, or do you have anything more to say about Boys?
Let's talk about the music. I always have more to say about Boys, but we have to keep going.
Yeah,
but
there's
the music,
about 1,000 men in this film.
True. I don't have a huge amount to say about the music, I have to say. This one swept over me a little bit. When it's notable, it's not always notable in a great way. Like, there's some diegetic fiddle music, some occasional, like, mystical panpipe stuff whenever Manny's doing something.
Lots of calliope.
Lots of calliope. The brothel scene and the sort of discordant calliope music during that was maybe my favorite of the movie because it was such a wild pull. It wasn't one way pleasant to listen to, but it was like really stood out.
It definitely stood out.
What were they going for? I don't know. The score is by Joseph Loduca, who is best known for Xena Warrior Princess, and that really says a ton.
Yeah, it definitely has that late 90s feel for sure. Yeah. Lots of brooding strings. The soundtrack is, it doesn't have anything to say about the movie other than look around you.
Yeah.
Like, don't listen to me. I'm just here to serve the backdrop.
And to remind you of the ethnicity of any characters who aren't French.
Yeah. Like the Irish Jig.
Like the Irish Jig.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. There is an English language song at the end of the version that I watched. Yes. And I don't even know if that's the song that was in the the original cut of the film because it ends before the credits are finished rolling. And then it's just like, there was just dead air. And I was like, what's happening here?
Wow.
We couldn't speed up the credits a little bit to match with the... Anyways. I didn't even get the name of it because it was so terrible. It felt like something out of an early 90s film, like out of GoldenEye.
Well,
Yeah.
Eric Serra we're talking about. Or Eric Carmen, maybe.
Yeah, that Eric
he's
Carmen
French.
song.
I think.
Maybe it was him.
He's a
No,
French
wait,
name.
it was a woman.
Or Spanish. Turns out I don't know anything about Europe.
Wait, you?
All right, so let's talk about the fashion because there's a lot more to talk about there, I think.
Yes. Thank God for the fashion of this film. I mean, Monica's obsidian and gold veiled courtesan outfit that she's introduced in is revelatory. And she has this like feather eye mask on, which
Incredible.
she takes off to put a veil on when she's having sex. I mean, that's how you do it. That's the culture I want to bring back. Let's put on veils for sex.
And bodices. She has a hooking bodice that's just gorgeous.
That's missing a bottom. Yeah, a bottomless bodice.
Yeah. Those red feather iframe thing was so like drag queens aren't doing that now. You know, we've seen people doing all kinds of things stuck to their face, but that was so sort of like ephemeral and gorgeous. Bring that back.
Absolutely.
And also her outfit that she wears to go to the church, which I guess includes the veil. The veil that covers her mouth. An incredible choice. I guess that's her sex veil and her church veil are different veils.
Oh, probably. You do not wear those two veils to the same place. You know, you have to have one for one and one for the other. It's an absolute must. And the smell, honestly.
Very, very true. You don't want that waxy church smell getting into your bedroom.
No, it would turn everyone off.
She has a church outfit that includes, of course, a tiny hat, the sexy mouth veil. This is a woman who works secretly for the Vatican. So the fact that she has a church outfit that basically gives the entire game away. Like, yes, I am a courtesan and a spy, all of these things.
And a God-fearing woman.
Maybe.
Yeah, is she incredible. A witch? I'm still not clear.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. That plus the bladed fan, Monica wins this movie.
Absolutely. Although I also really liked Sylvia's outfit. So there's a lot of French Revolution red in this film. There's a lot of overcoats and tri-corner hats, but Sylvia gets to wear the best version of that by far. And then every other dress that she is in is like either this powder blue corseted bustle number with a furry ostrich. Right? Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, that's who I mean. Not Marianne, not Sylvia.
Sylvia is Monica Bellucci. So.
Yes. So Marianne wears a powdered blue feathered hat, winter coat and bustle, and it's got a corset built in. It's incredible. It is fashion. It's what I want to wear in the winter months. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
She also, and when she wears the French Revolution outfit with the tri-corner hat, oh my God, really beautiful.
The riding outfit?
Yes.
Because that was my favorite. Yeah, this great scene where she is wearing this red riding outfit with the little hat, and her brother is wearing the same shade of red under this black coat. So you know, it's worn very differently, but equally sort of dramatically by both of them. It's really gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Red
really
velvet,
cool.
like till the cows come home, till the wolves come home.
Lavash. He also loved Frontsac's tan leather coat and thigh-high boots when they're in the shipyards. There was just something clean about it that it felt a little out of place for French Revolution France, but was also like just a stunning piece.
I'm going to say that this is not a period accurate movie when it came to the wardrobe.
No, definitely not.
I think they took a lot of liberties, and I'm fine with that. Like, you can be...
Me too.
You can be authentic, or you can be fantastic.
Yes.
And you should decide which one you're doing.
Yeah.
But yes, a lot of velvet brocades, a lot of tailcoats, a lot of big lace cravats. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful, like, indulgent glamour movie. Also, there's a very cool bone sword. at the end of the movie.
My God. So, did Bleach, the anime, take inspiration from this film? I have to wonder, because one of the main
Interesting.
characters in Bleach, Renji, his Bankai, which is his level up, if you are unaware of what that term means, and I wouldn't expect you to know what that means, but basically he does the whole anime like, yeah, and becomes this super powered guy with a bone sword that splits into pieces and retracts. And that's what is in this film about 10 years before that show came out. So
Wow.
surely someone watched this film and said, I need to use this in my manga.
Yeah. It's a very cool sword that, like is both a whip and a sword.
Love it.
I wonder, because the director of this, his first film was the live action Crying Freeman film with Mark Dacascos in the lead role, which is based on a manga. So I wonder if there's some back and forth. Like there's a lot of interplay between France and Japan when it comes to culture anyway. Like there's always been a sort of mutual fascination and a lot of co-production in like the 70s and 80s. I feel like France bankrolled a lot of anime. So yeah, I wonder if there's is there something in manga that he borrowed for this movie that then got borrowed back? There's probably a whole prehistory of that sort.
If I had time to Reddit anything, I mean, yeah, that sounds great. Last piece of clothing that I want to mention is the green betrayal robes at the end of the film. When you think Sylvia's like turned on Fransac and she actually is like, no, get away. But she like takes off like this hood and it's her and it's this green velvet that's draped all around her and red lining on the inside. And it's all silky and just gorgeous.
Yeah. Good choices all around.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, should we talk about what the Lion was wearing? The big shocking reveal of this movie is that the Beast of Gévaudan is a lion in armor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a wild reveal that's sort of given away when you see the animal's eyes like halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
If you're paying that close attention, I guess. Yeah, a wild
I'm
choice.
so glad that you said this. I'm just going to be honest. I was like, what kind of an animal is this supposed to be? A warthog?
It's a lion in like warthog armor. You know, it's weird.
It now makes so much sense. Thank God it was a lion. I was really lost in this film, Andrew.
I don't think you ever see the lion fully out of the armor. So,
no,
yeah,
definitely not.
It's explained. Yeah, the poor creature that is blinged up beyond belief. Like, I mean, that's one of the most absurd. Number one, absurd that Vincent Cassel's character can train a lion to kill people.
Yeah.
At the sound of a whistle. And number two, insane that the lion covered in armor could be rampaging through the French countryside, killing peasants willy-nilly. But that's the movie. Like, you accept it or you don't, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, or you just let it absurdly wash over you and don't take in a single detail. Speaking of, let's talk about the queerness in this film.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, they're French, so implicit queerness from the get-go.
Number one with a bullet, for sure. They are all, for sure, French.
Yeah.
Except for Monica Bellucci, who's Italian, which also... little bit. Lots of powdered wigs and powdered faces. Men in makeup everywhere.
Men in makeup everywhere. No, not a lot of explicit male stuff, except, of course, Manny actually is sort of the fulcrum of queerness in this movie, I think, in a way, because he has the relationship with Fransac that is, we're brothers, which is what two men who are not related to each other say when they love each other and don't want people to think they're gay.
Yep.
Maybe there's a little bit more going on there.
Well, the way in which Fransac draws Manny's body in full watercolor, they're just good friends. They've been roommates for a really long time. I just like to draw my friends in great detail with all of their rippling, bulging muscles, wearing their loincloths. What's gay about that?
There is a weirdly homoerotic autopsy after we lose Manny. His body is shot like Monica Bellucci's body on the bed. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And we also get that scene between... Yeah, I'd like to see the landscape. We also get Manny's relationship with the pretty young Marquis, who Manny feeds him drugs and connects him to the universe, and it's absurd, but it's also like weirdly romantic, and they connect in this moment, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay,
What
that felt queer to me.
what an insidious trope that you have uncovered. The older queer man indoctrinating the younger gentleman with drugs. Andrew,
Yeah,
really? We are
I
not
didn't
making this
do it.
easier or harder for the Republicans.
They'll make it up anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the last thing I have is that there is a witch character in this film. And it's pretty gay.
Which is a gay brothels, sex workers are intersectional with the queer community. So we have that. And also a male lead in an action movie bearing cheek, something we haven't seen. We haven't seen that much cake in an action movie since Jean-Claude Van Damme in his
Yes,
heyday.
amen.
So,
If only he'd done the splits. My God.
if only he'd done the splits. I guess I should say gâteau. We've not seen that much gâteau.
Thank you.
I'm multilingual, Shane.
You better be with the amount of time you spend on Duolingo.
Yeah, Duolingo teaches you to be fluent. Not promoted, not sponsored. Also not true.
Also, we would take a sponsorship from Duolingo. Just gonna put that out
and then
there.
I'll say it is true. Shall we score this movie?
Yeah, I think we should.
All right, the scorecard for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is its own special, beautiful creation. We always award the movie a score between 0 and 5 points. Then we have bonus points for the women, the boys, the music, the fashion, the queerness, and we may apply a penalty for anything that we find egregious. So yeah, there's a fair bit to think about here. Shane, what do you think is your overall score going to be?
This is a 3 for me. I think it's a fascinating film. I think it's worth watching. Maybe with 0.5 speed on.
Right.
Because that is the thing that is keeping it from being a 4 or 5 for me. It is way too long for what is actually packed in that 2.5 hours. I think if this were an hour and 45 minutes, I'd be giving this a 4 or 5 stars.
It's a pulp movie, and pulp movies don't need to be like giant tomes,
Yeah.
It needs to be sleek. I would say, though, don't watch the action sequences at 1.5 speed. Like, those deserve to be watched
fully
at
normal speed. They are really great. Really great fight scenes in this film.
I'm going to go with a 3 as well, but I think I'm going to have some other points to give this movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Starting with the women. Love the women in this movie. So glad that we got introduced to these characters and these performances.
Yes, me too. Even though I was confused about a couple of them, thinking that they were one, I actually really enjoyed all of the performances. That didn't take me out of the film. So I am going to give it a point for the women.
It's been a long week. It's fine.
It's been a long week. I just got back from vacation.
The boys of the movie.
Yeah, the boys are going to get a point from me. Even if it were just for our top 2, I actually think all of the actors did a great job. I really liked the Marquis. I really liked Vincent Cassel's character. But, especially for our 2 main characters who are just serving gâteau the entire time.
Yeah, Samuel Le Bien and Marc Dacascos, both hunky and persuasive, shall we say?
Yeah.
Music, that's going to be a no from me. The music was not memorable, and it was not
dog. It kind of
great.
Works for the movie. I'm just going to quietly say that because I'm kind of proud of that one.
I just hope
that's a no from me, dog.
We got it.
Got it. Let's talk about the fashion. I am absolutely giving it a point for the fashion.
Yeah, I think we're very in sync on this one. The fashion is sublime.
Incredible.
Monica Bellucci, boots down the house, etc. Les bottes, la maison. Oh, qu'est-ce que c'est le...
Sur?
Bof.
Les bottes sur les maisons.
Isn't that on the house? The house down. Descendu. Le maison descendu.
Are we dropping a house on this witch?
She's
not a witch.
I believe in her. Speaking of witches, the queerness.
I'm not going to give it the point.
Yeah. being French just isn't enough in this day and age.
No. One day we will cover a film that has some explicit queerness. In fact, I see that very soon in our future, but that is not today.
It wouldn't be Halloween without a little bit of queerness, you know?
A little spice. Yeah.
A little bit of spice. It's our Christmas. All right. Do we think there's a penalty here? And there are a few places where it could be applied, casting a non-Iroquois, a non-native actor in a native role, and the way that violence against women is treated in this movie. I would say those are two red flags for me.
I haven't really determined a threshold yet.
No, we have not determined a threshold.
And I'm hesitant to say that this is it. In fact, it might be a 3-strike rule for me. It kind of has to be racism, homophobia, and misogyny. Not that that there's any kind of hierarchy in there, but so many of the films that we cover are just because of when they were made and the people who were making them, there's going to be a little bit of it here and there in almost everything. So I really need for it to go above and beyond to show hatred of so many people. And this felt more art housey. It felt like in some ways it felt a little progressive in its treatment towards indigenous peoples for the time.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at as well. Like, actually, its treatment of women and its native character is pretty good, apart from the places where it's really bad.
Yeah.
It's like it. I can't say it balances itself out. That sort of cheapens the whole thing, but it does at least make an effort to be better than the sort of the lazy best that we were used to at that point. So yeah, I don't think this is egregiously offensive in either of those regards. It just room for improvement.
Yeah, exactly. So what does that give us in the end?
I think that's a 6 out of 10, which is pretty good for us.
That's pretty good. Wow. That's really good for us.
We're very, very mean scorers. Yeah, I'm glad that it held up as well, honestly. Like, whenever you've seen a movie like 20 years ago and you're like, I remember liking it, you never know what you're going to get. It's almost a bigger like crapshoot for me than it is for you. It's like, you can just judge the movie. I'm judging myself.
Yeah, I was a child when this came out.
But not anymore.
So yeah, I go see this film. I watched it for free on Plex.
I watched it for free on Canopy, which is the library app. One of the library apps. So yeah, no one's making money off this movie anymore, apparently. Sorry, guys. No, actually, you do get money from both those services. They get money.
Yeah. I'm sure 1 cent per stream.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, worth checking out. Not necessarily a Halloween movie, but a lot of fun, and you can probably fast forward through any bits where there's talking.
A good chunk of it. Yeah. Oh my God.
They're talking French anyway. I mean, could they be saying anything important?
Probably not. Like, oh, this is a lion. Oh, that's not Monica Bellucci. None of it matters.
If you enjoyed this film, please let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe, and feel free to let us know in the comments your favorite and or queerest werewolf movie, because we need to know about those for next Halloween. You know, we need to still build up our list for the future, because we're not doing another werewolf film this season, but we'll be coming back to the theme in the future, I would think.
We have to. I mean, they're synonymous with gay culture, right?
Yeah, I think so. As are all monsters. And we will be doing a kaiju and a vampire and I think demons in the other one. So we're covering a lot of bases this October.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, kiss kiss.
Bang bang. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to this channel. You can follow Kiss Kiss Bang Bang on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd at KKBBpod, or email us at kisskissbangbangpod@gmail.com.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is recorded in Toronto on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples.